Boom, boom, boom on the front door. Die. Gangbanger. I got my first camera at a very early age. About 8 or 9 years old I was. And I got it by accident. I remember my mum had seen an advert in a paper, an auction to be held at a local hall. And I thought, sounds good, Mum. She said, well, they're going to sell bicycles. I wanted a bike. I wanted a bike. Everybody else had bikes, but I didn't have a bike. But unfortunately, thanks to London Transport, by the time we got to the auction, all the bikes had gone. There were only a few bits and pieces left. And I remember the auctioneer holding up a camera. Do I hear £1 for this camera? Do I hear £1.50 for this camera? I remember my mum saying to me quietly, would you like a camera? Yes, please. I want anything. Just something. £3 that first camera cost. One of those little Instamatic jobs. Came with a roll of film. And to be honest, I don't even think I took a picture for about a month. I think I just used to look at it. But then I did. I took some sort of family shots, you know, my grandma, my mum, shots from the window. But it wasn't until a friend of mine who had another camera noticed that I was really interested in getting a real camera. He said to me, why don't you borrow my one? You seem interested. And so I did. And thanks to Tio, I could walk around with this camera with no film in it and just look through the viewfinder. And that's where making a couple of pounds and saving my pocket money came in to buy film. And I did. And I basically just used to walk around Primrose Hill, Camden, not that far from my front door, just taking pictures of anything. I'd go down the canal. I had a thing about texture and shape and form. I'd take pictures of buildings, trees, Primrose Hill, the park. And then I discovered faces. And I loved people anyway. And just staring at people through the camera did something for me. So many different people. Young, old, tramps, male, female, friends. It really didn't matter. I just wanted to take pictures of people. And Camden Lock, I used to go down there quite a lot. There's hundreds of people. Just used to stare at people, think they looked interesting, and try and compose a shot. And I remember one time, when I was walking around Regent's Park Road, a guy came up to me and he said, are you taking pictures? I said, I am taking pictures, yeah. Why? So there's a good picture around the corner. I said, really? And he said, yeah, you'll like that. So I did. I tore off round the corner, eyes open, looking. Couldn't really see much action though. I don't know what I expected to see. And then in the corner of Charcoal Square, there were a couple of people standing around, and I knew that that's where the action was happening. As I got closer and closer, I realised what had happened was very unusual. The story goes that the old lady who was driving this car that her son had bought her wasn't used to an automatic gearbox. She was used to a manual. And of course, she got into the car, started the engine, turned it over, and her foot, she thought it was on the brake, was actually on the accelerator. And it shot forward, crashed into the railings, and nosedived into the basement. Seriously bad parking, if you ask me, but it made a brilliant picture. And what I loved about the picture in that moment was that there's this guy doing up the house. And just because someone crashed a car in the basement didn't mean he could get the day off work. He just carried on peeling the paint away. And the best thing about this photograph that ever happened to me was it turned out to be the first photograph I ever had published in a local newspaper. That was the beginning of many.